Hi, welcome to the Invisible Urban Homestead. Today I'm going to show you two different ways of freezing fresh greens. These are cold hardy greens such as kale, collards, Swiss chard, and spinach. I wouldn't recommend this method for lettuce or cabbage or for fresh herbs. There's a different video that I'll show you on how to freeze fresh herbs. This is for maybe an abundance of greens from your garden or greens that you buy in season from the farmer's market, or if you need to buy greens from the store any time of year for a recipe and you have some left over and you want to freeze them to use at a later use, this would be a good way to freeze them. So if you're going to be freezing chard or kale or collards, the first thing you're going to want to do is take your clean greens and tear away the greens from the stem. You don't really want to be freezing the stem. It's kind of woody and will leave fibrous bits in whatever you're cooking. And then after all of these are destemmed, we'll chop it into pieces. Next, we'll get a pot of water boiling, a pot that's going to be big enough to hold all the greens that you just chopped. So now the water is boiling and we're going to put the fresh greens into the boiling water. And I'll show you, just kind of push them down in so they're submerged in the water, and cook for only a couple of minutes, 2 minutes max, until the greens are bright green. So next we're going to drain the blanched greens into a colander in the sink. You can see that they're really bright green. And we're going to cool them off with some cold tap water. That's to further stop the cooking process. So far, all the steps I've showed you, you're going to follow for whichever method you choose for freezing your greens. Now I'm going to show you one of the two steps of freezing your fresh greens. And this is to keep your greens whole in the bite-sized pieces that you've chopped. So you're going to take small clumps of them, squeeze out any excess water, and form them into, as best as you can, a ball shape. And then place that in a pan. And I'm only going to make a few here as an example. So squeezing them out, forming a ball, and I have them in this pan, and next the pan's going to go in the freezer until these balls freeze solid. For our second method of freezing greens, we're going to be pureeing them and freezing them into ice cube trays. So the leaves are no longer going to be whole, they're going to be ground up into tiny little pieces which you can add to soups and sauces. It's a really great method. But just so you know, they won't be whole leaf pieces. So we'll take the blanched greens, they're drained, and then putting them into the food processor. And then I'll puree them until they're nice and ground up. So that looks like it did it. Lots of little pieces of pureed kale. And I'm going to stuff this into the trays of the ice cube tray. So I'm kind of packing them in, smushing it down, filling it up. And I'll do this with the remaining pureed greens. And then after this is full, I'll stick it into the freezer and freeze this until all of the cubes of greens are frozen solid. After your greens are frozen, you'll take out the cubes from the ice cube tray or take out your balls of cut up greens from your pan, and you'll freeze them in some Ziploc bags in the freezer. This is how you'll store them. So here's a few different kinds that I've made over the course of the summer. These are chopped up greens from beet greens. This is some Swiss chard greens, whole leaves. Here's some tot soy. This is an Asian green. And here is some pureed kale, like I have just made. And you'll use these for different purposes in your cooking. So the ball method is, again, for pieces that you want whole leaves or chopped up leaves for. And the puree method is a good way just to sneak some greens into your soups or sauces with little bits of greens. And here you are, two different ways of freezing fresh greens.